trainer and a career coach, and she specializes in career transition and professional development for those over 50. She's the creator of the popular workshop, How to Use Age as an Advantage in Your Career, and top-selling book, the Over 40 Job Search Guide. So please help me welcome the dynamic and entertaining Gail Geary.
Would you like to go to Kansas City with me?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I want to go.
can pay you a lot of money if you go with me, and I'll give you all the steaks that you could possibly eat.
I'll take it.
Okay. I took this offer. This was a career transition assignment in Kansas City. I can't tell you the name of the big client, but it was a major telecommunications company. I was there for 2 weeks, 2 months. Oh, how the time felt so short. No. Giving 2 workshops every single day, 5 days a week, for employees that were displaced. Now, you think, well, this sounds like a good assignment to me. A lot of money, stakes, but there's always the downsides. And the downside in this particular case was that the first time I saw my training material, my manual, was the night before I had to present it. Woo! Thank goodness for Toastmasters. Toastmasters, you learn to do things impromptu on your feet. You're always alert to new opportunities. So that night, I sat down and I asked questions to ask audience, stories to tell, all in the margin. This particular thing to do, breaks go at this point. This is my timing. The whole night was spent doing that. And then, when I got to the workshop, I looked at the sea of faces out there. These faces weren't like your faces, smiling, gracious, open-minded. These faces were angry, despondent, depressed, because in fact, they had been displaced and they had hoped to have their entire career and live in Kansas City and retire with this company. I knew it was my charge to help motivate them to see the positive effects of change. So I did this every week, very successfully. In this particular business, you're graded every single time you put on a workshop. So you know what the audience is thinking about you. They would hang around afterwards and I would do whatever I could to comfort them and show compassion. Now one day, I was with the other career consultants. There were 60 of us from all over the country staying in one hotel. You can imagine that particular hotel was really rocking. Well, we were talking one night over coffee, over a glass of wine, whatever somebody wanted. And one woman said, "We are not giving the right information. We've got this one-size-fits-all manual, and these people are not that size." Well, here's where creativity that Claudia was thinking about comes in. A light bulb went on my head, and I said, "Whew, I can create a program for them called How to Use Age as an Advantage in Your Career Search." I know that I can write it, I can PowerPoint it, however immature my PowerPoint is, and deliver it. So in fact, I created the program. I put it on in Kansas City, Atlanta, Charlotte, hour-and-a-half program. The book, the Over 40 Job Search Guide, came from interviews with all of my clients, with being out there so long among all these people. So here's a case where we could take an experience, which is hard to be away from home, hard to be away from Wade, for that long in this hotel where you were busy all day and then you just wanted to come home and eat and sleep. It was really a boot camp experience. But out of that came a lot of self-confidence, a lot of knowledge, and the ability to take this further in my speaking career. Now, when I came back, I had an opportunity to practice with individual clients. I had a client whose name was Ernesto. Now, with Ernesto, I always meet my clients for a really nice lunch as I'm getting started to go over the career assessment with him. He looked good on the outside, but his face told me a different story. All he could talk about for a couple of hours was his poor, bad situation. He said, how can I look for a career when, in fact, I'm going through a divorce, I have a daughter living with me who is unwed with a child. And he said, all of this is going on at the same time. So here is where us career counselors, we career counselors, have compassion and are willing to listen before we can actually bring people out of the abyss, but we have to be very good at listening to what their issues are. And to point out, for him, he was a CFO. He still had what it takes. He would be able to replace himself. These are some of the tips that I always give the clients that are over 40, but I think they apply to all ages. Or if you think about it, all of you have been 40 or will be 40 at some time. And a lot of this material really fits you, whatever your age is. The first thing is to make sure that you maximize your strengths. Whenever you are doing in print, a resume, a paper, you're presenting to somebody else, you're meeting somebody, you're networking, make sure that you present your strengths. In his case, his strengths were he was highly organized, he was detailed, he was compassionate. He was a great problem solver, and we were able to put all of that in his resume. Take a look at any negative stereotypes that you feel like are haunting you. Something that is there that you think, because of my age or for some other reason, I'm not going to be able to get what I want. This might be that you feel like you don't have the energy. When you're older, especially in the speaking, boy, this club has talked me into getting my energy up. In fact, Taylor and I were doing yoga this morning to loosen up, right? So you're loosened up, get going, get that energy going for wherever you are. That's one thing that will stand out in any interview or networking situation is that energy. Negating anything that people think about older workers. What's at least one thing that you think about an older worker that is a negative stereotype sometimes?
Chronic illness.
Chronic illness, yes. You think, especially if you can see a disability or something like that, that they are not going to be on time, they're going to be out, they're going to have very large bills. You might think that. So being able to be energetic is just a great thing. Another thing that you might think about an older worker is that their skills in technology are not up to date. I mean, if they're walking around saying, there's no way I'd send a text message. Social media, you know, got to keep up. It is true. You've got to keep up to date if you're going to stay in the business world and if you're going to stay in the social world. So you have to watch out for these negative stereotypes that people think about older workers. The other thing is this is kind of controversial, but it really works for me, is that when we're doing a resume, you don't have to include all of your experience. In fact, the experience to include is your relevant experience, not everything that you've done unrelated, especially that dates you. And I do not want to start off my resume by saying, 35 years experience as a trainer and a career counselor. And they're going, let's see, and how old is she? So you leave that off and you say extensive experience you don't put the date on your college. So you don't want to put anything, people may wonder about this, but it goes extremely smoothly for my clients when they do that. And in fact, with the next speaker, I'll give him a little nod, you're going to find out that all of us are going to live a lot longer, and we're having multiple careers. You may find yourself not wanting to go into any kind of an early retirement, but you want to keep going, and you just want to keep going, doing something different. So it's really good to know about all the negative stereotypes. So what you want to do is you want to play to your strengths and negate any of what you feel are your negative stereotypes. Now, wouldn't you think that I would have learned from Kansas City that an assignment would be hard? Well, not necessarily. I'm just kind of a masochist, a training masochist. I got a call. John called me. Gail, I've got a new assignment for you. I think you're going to really like it. We're going to give you, instead of money, we're going to give you 3 months of work and a new car. I said, a new car? I mean, what is this? What's going on? Where is it? What's going on? What's in it? Well, you're going to be in Detroit for 3 months. In January, February, and March. And by the way, you are going to be the team driver, driving all the consultants to work they will start at 7 a.m. and end at 6 p.m. It's only an 11-hour shift. 5 days, 11 hours. Pay well, you get that car, and there'll be a lot of snow driving. And I said, snow driving? I've recently been through an experience with snow here in Atlanta. Sign me up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Gail Geary. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And you need a vision just as much as the largest corporation, or you're going to find yourself in the same old time and effort for money, 20th century mentality. In the 21st century, ask yourself, how much longer do I expect to live, and what do I want to accomplish with this time? Here to give you some insights into that, Coach Joe Sasso is going to talk to you about how to make use of your time to adapt to the 21st century so that you can extend your 21st century life and your future. Joe Sasso.
Coach.
Thank you. Thank you for that warm welcome. Without vision, you know the rest of this? Without vision, the people fail. I want to change your mind a little bit about that today, and I want you to think about it this way. Without people, there is no vision. See, vision starts with you. And if you think about it, you have a vision very early on in your life. And maybe at this point, you're thinking 40 years out. Maybe you're thinking 20 years. Maybe if you're a little older, you're thinking a little less time. But you are thinking still about that future, the future that you have. When you're young, I'm talking really young, you're invincible, right? There's nothing you can't do. In fact, you challenge everybody else. I could do that. And if you're into video games today, you're really invincible because you get knocked down, you come right back. So video games are teaching us that we're invincible. Well, there comes a point in your early life where something happens. Maybe it's the death of a favorite pet. Or maybe close to home, it's a grandparent or a parent, even more close to home. You start to recognize, I'm not invincible. In fact, when you talk to people about dying, they have pet phrases they use. They say, well, when I pack it in. Well, the people in my family, they all live to about, and they stop. Right now, I want you, if you have a piece of paper in front of you, draw a circle. Draw a circle. Otherwise, just imagine you're drawing a circle. And in that circle, I want you to write the number of your age when you pack it in. Okay, he's young, he can write a good one. What's the number that you will write in that space? Now I'm going to take you through a little bit of an exercise, and this is a free handout after the program. You can stop up and I'll give it to you. But before I do that, I want to tell you last week we had a couple of speakers. One was Shay. Shay was telling us about his lifelong dream. Starting as a young boy, he had a dream that he wanted to form a business and make it survive and make it thrive. Well, Shay has done that. His business is thriving today. But he's the first to tell you that it takes time. So if you think about a young boy with a dream, he was already reaching out there, and he did it over time. Another speaker of ours, Jessica, she wants to be a motivational speaker, and she wants the people to leave her speeches enthused and ready to take action. So she gave us this thought. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. You have to reword your thinking of that word. It's really, I'm possible. All right. So you're possible. And now we're going to talk about your possibilities for the future. As I said, I have this survey, which I will give you a portion of today. So it's important that you pick up a copy, take it home, and work it up yourself, because I think you're going to be amazed. I was working with a 42-year-old man, husband, father of 2 children, and I asked him first directly, I said, Brian, when do you think you're going to die? He was 42. He said, 80. It'll be 80. It'll be right around 80. I was really kind of surprised. You see, people have an innate knowing. Something is triggered in their mind. I said, how did you come up with that number so quick? He said, well, he said, everybody in my family, especially the men, they all die around 80. So I figure that's when I'm probably going to pack it in. I said, oh, so you've got this number and you're 42? You're halfway there, aren't you? He said, yeah, but I don't think about it. It's just a number, you know? It's just a number at this point in time. I got a happy life. I don't even think about that. Why are you talking about this? I said, well, I'm glad you're inquisitive about this because I want to help you understand your age. So let's go to that number that you put down, 80, and you have your own number. He said 80. So I said, let's go back to a year before you turn 80. You'll be 79. Now, when you're 79, what will your physical abilities be like? He said, well, I'm very active now. I'm a runner, I'm a swimmer, I'm a bike rider, I work on triathletes all the time. I'm physically fit. I'm confident that I'll still be physically fit at 79. I said, that's great. In fact, the medical and scientific industries will back you up. And you should know, and you already do, that you're going to live a lot longer because of the advances, the strides that are being made in those two communities. So we've just tackled your physical abilities. Tell me, what will your mental abilities be like? He didn't have to think too long. He said, well, I'm an avid reader, and believe it or not, I belong to several book clubs. I do crossword puzzles every day. I look for the hardest ones I can find, and I'm good at it. So I'll be sharp as a tack. I think my mental faculties at 79, I'll be there. I'll be great. No problems for me. So we've got his mental abilities down. I said, that's well and good, but what about your financial status? What will your financial status be like? He said, well, I work for a good company, fortunately, and we've got a 401k program. I'm investing in it regularly. And I've got a great financial consultant. He's taking me through the ringer, and he's telling me what I need to be doing now so that I will have a very comfortable lifestyle in the future. So I think I will be very financially successful. I said, Brian, I asked you a question first. What is the age that you think you will pack it in? You said 80. Have you changed your mind? Is it still 80? He said, well, you know, my family genes and, well, you know what? I don't smoke and my dad smoked. I exercise and my dad didn't exercise. Yeah, I think I'll live a little longer. I said, so what age will you pack it in at? He said, my grandmother, she lived to 96. I said, 96? So, what do you think? What are you going to pack it in? He said, probably 96. I said, great. Now, let's think about what we just did in a few minutes. You have now raised your life expectancy by 16 years. You're going to live 16 years longer. What are you going to do with those 16 years? Are you giving any thought to it? Well, I'll be a triathlete master. No. I mean, that's great. But I want to know, what else are you thinking about? What other opportunities do you have in your life to succeed at, that you really want to do? So, I got a lot of opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, think about Shay. Think about the time that he invested in his vision. He knew he had a future, and he had to put the time in to get there. Think about Jessica. Jessica said, I'm possible. Hey, do me a favor right now. I'm going to count to 3, and when I do, I want you to say, I'm possible. You ready?
Yes.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
I'm possible.
Joe, okay, at this time, we are going to take a 15-minute intermission, so feel free to get some refreshments, some food, and we will flash the lights when we are just about ready to give you that 1 minute warning. So enjoy, mix and mingle, take a look at the book.